Yeah, that didn't go according to plan. UConn embarrassed UCLA on the biggest stage that there possibly could be in the Final Four. Yeah, let's talk about it.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Zach Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever it's your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. Well, Paige, Bueckers, Gino, Sarah Strong, Azzi, Fudd, man, embarrassed UCLA. The Bruins clearly didn't seemingly, whatever we want throw out there, they didn't belong on this floor. They did not look like they wanted it. They did not look like they belonged. And UConn wins this 85-51. I spent the earlier portion of the day arguing UCLA's disrespect towards them as a one seed, but you just can't come out and play the national pundits right. That was a bit rough to watch. Now, UConn, clearly very good team. Obviously, they have figured some things out since some of their early season losses. But man, oh man, UCLA, when you shoot less than 40% from the field, 25% from three, turn it over 19 times. UConn is the type of team with their athleticism, with the coaching style, with their efficiency from the field, that you just can't go and get down by 10 because UCLA is not the shooting type of team that UConn is. And it tells you how dominant UConn is because the Bruins are one of the better starting teams in the country. They usually get off to fast starts. Like their worst starts in the tournament this year have been the LSU game, Richmond, Ole Miss a little bit, when they start off a little slow. All right. And even when they start off slow against USC, the Bruins battled back, got it to within 4, took a lead in the fourth quarter. UConn just beat down the spirit of UCLA today. From a coaching standpoint to a player standpoint, scheme, heart, effort, everything from the opening tip to the final buzzer, UConn utterly dominated. They outscored UCLA in every single quarter, and in 3 of those quarters, they outscored UCLA by 10. Let me tell you that again. In 3 separate quarters, UConn outscored the Bruins by 10. It was hard to watch when UCLA, sometimes you're like, okay, this team's just not making shots. They just can't make a shot. It's hard to watch. No, it was seemingly not just that they couldn't make half of their shots. They couldn't go seemingly more than half of their possessions without turning the basketball over. From the mixture of a full court press, the mixture of a man-to-man to a zone, it seemed like once Lauren Betts got a 3-second violation called against her in the first half, that things started to take a turn for the worse. She stepped out of the paint for it seemed like 5 straight possessions. UCLA in the opening possession, where they won the jump ball, turned it over, and that was like, oof, this is not a good sign. This was a UCLA team that turns it over a lot. They turned it over a lot in the first half, and UConn can get out and run, and they absolutely did. Fast break points might not tell the whole story, and as much as UConn scored 85 points, it's not because UCLA was horrible defensively. UConn hit 7 threes in this game. 7 threes in this game. They missed 5 free throws. It was because they wanted it more on the rebounding. It felt like they got a lot more rebounds than the Bruins. They won +5. Every time UCLA got their hands on a rebound, there was at least 2 to 3 UConn Huskies there. And if they didn't get it, they were forcing a jump ball. You mix in points off turnovers. UCLA gave UConn 27 points off turnovers, and the Bruins only scored 5. 13 fast break points. UConn outscored the Bruins in the paint. So in areas of strength, usually rebounding, efficiency, points off turnovers, points in the paint, UConn just outworked the Bruins. They just absolutely outworked UCLA. And this is a game where Lauren Betts still put up numbers. She put up 26 in the Final Four, 26 and 5, couple of steals, a block. But the story was the ability to deny Lauren Betts the basketball because she scored 26, more than half of UCLA's 51. Their worst performance of the year in the game's biggest moments. I talked about who can be some X factors. I could throw out names. Everybody outside of Lauren Betts did not have a good game. You look at who is a Elite Eight hero. Gabriela Jaquez, no points, 0 for 6 from the floor, 8 rebounds. Heart and hustle, could not make a shot. Tamia Gardner, 1 for 5 from the floor, 1 for 4 from 3, seemingly out of rhythm. 3 turnovers to help lead UCLA's individual turnover numbers. Janiah Barker, frustrated. 5 boards, hit a 3, seemed like a non-factor. Elena Arnasalo, couple of points, couple of buckets, couple of turnovers as well. Kiki Rice, after a lot of hype, a lot of buildup for the first team All Big Ten member, 8 points, 2 of 7. It wasn't going to cut it. UCLA had 2 starters not score a single point. 2. Who are they? Jaquez and Jones, who combined for 7 shots and 0 made buckets, 0 trips to the free throw line, and 5 turnovers. All right. That is mind-boggling that UCLA had 2 starters combined for more turnovers than they did between assists, steals, and made buckets and points. You look at UConn, Sarah Strong is absolutely elite. But if you follow women's college basketball, that's an easy thing that you already knew, but she put it on display in this game where her mismatch was attacking Lauren Betts. Her mismatch was the 4 of 6 shooting where she could step out and bury it as that undersized post that Anissa Mora of LSU likes to play, except Strong can knock down the 3 consistently. Paige Bueckers didn't exactly have her best game offensively, shooting the 3. You're like, okay, maybe they're not going to shoot the 3 well. And they didn't blow up the Bruins from downtown. They did not. But 2 players, Fudd and Strong, hit 3-point shots. Only 2 players for the Huskies hit 3s. This is all about UCLA's inability to do anything offensively. Because imagine if UConn has 27 less points, all right? So you take away, close to 30, whatever it might be. All right, 20, 65, 62, whatever it might be. UCLA would have been in this game if they just don't even turn over the basketball. Obviously, that's a tall ask. They turn it over all season long, but the Huskies made them pay. Like, you just can't lose minus 22 in points off turnovers. They just outworked them. They wanted it more. And when UCLA got punched and they're like, uh-oh, this is their biggest deficit heading to the second quarter, it felt like this is a gut check time. And the Bruins did not pass the test. There was a moment early where Sarah Strong picked up a personal foul. UCLA never attacked her to get her a second. What if she's on the bench in foul trouble? We'll never know. We'll never know because you want to know how many personal fouls Sarah Strong ended up the game with? 1. When she had 1 in the first quarter and they never attacked her. Jana El-Alfi played literally the game of her life for UConn. 4 steals, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, and 6 points. She is not supposed to have that type of impact against the UCLA team, but she did. Played the game of her life. Think about that. Players who play 15 minutes a game, normally not starters, come in and had an absolutely dominant game against UCLA and threw Lauren Betts off her rhythm before she got in a little bit of foul trouble. Like, come on. KK Arnold, 9 points late. But this is a game that was dominated by UConn starters. Dominated. There's just not much to say. Well, what's next for UCLA? You can bring back almost the entire team pretty much. The entire team. Even Dugalich has another year of eligibility as a super senior. But the name we all need to remember, and I've talked about her, it's not one of the top recruits. It's not Sienna Betts, who will be coming to UCLA to pair with Lauren Betts. So the Bruins will not have just 1, but 2 super dominant post players. It's Charlisse Leger-Walker. And I wonder, this is what UCLA had wondered coming into the year. Would Leger-Walker, with her knee injury, suffered against UCLA in late January of 2024, would she be healthy enough, ready enough to play in this season? And when it came down to it, in this couple months ago, it was decided that she wanted to take her medical red shirt, fully get healthy, have a year plus of recovery, almost a year and a half plus, and be ready for the 25-26 season. And Charlisse Leger-Walker is the 3rd time is third all-time in scoring at Washington State. Single-handedly led the Cougars to an NCAA tournament berth, beating UCLA in the Pac-12 tournament final at that time. So when it was announced to actually make that December of 2024, late of the 2024 calendar year, that on the UCLA athletics website, she is going to come back and be on the active roster in 25-26. This is somebody in Leger-Walker who averages in her career 16 plus points per game. Okay, 16 points per game, can play 30 to 32 minutes a game, is a 30% free three-point shooter, and can get to the bucket whenever she wants. Can rebound a little bit, has about 3 assists per game, almost 2 steals per game. Leger-Walker is a dominant force. And this is one of those games where I think the lack of athleticism on the perimeter was a problem, the lack of physicality, that UCLA couldn't throw at Sarah Strong. Leger-Walker was that type of player that if she wanted to, maybe not if she wanted to, if she was healthy enough is probably the better way of phrasing it, the correct way of phrasing it, that if she was healthy enough and was willing to sacrifice a whole year to maybe play 2 months, this would have been a game that a Pac-12 tournament MVP, a Pac-12 freshman rookie of the year, all Pac-12 freshman, 4-time all Pac-12 member and honoree at Washington State, this is where she would have made her name. This was the game where it would have been awesome. Gardner made her name known in the Elite Eight for UCLA fans. For Leger-Walker, people were like, who is that? She will be one of the reasons, if not the reason, UCLA will be a top 1 or 2 team in the country preseason next year. Now, UConn could go run away with it with South Carolina. I'm not sure who it might be. I would favor UConn in that matchup, although Dawn Staley is very convinced her team is prepared and playing much better to try and win another national championship against UConn. Who knows what that championship game is going to look like? UCLA can bring everybody back. One of the best players in the country coming in, and they already got her a year ago. And then a freshman standout that can give Lauren Betts some breathers, a new way of attacking, and UCLA is only going to get better and more athletic with increased shooting, defensive, passing, all these habits, where the first thing UCLA should do is work on passing the basketball, press break, entry passes into the post all summer long, all fall long. Go in the gym, let this one sting. UCLA certainly let it sting against South Carolina, let it sting against LSU. And unfortunately for what the Bruins have to do, they tend to make us wait a year. Wait till next year, right? The old Dodger cry. Wait till next year. Make us wait a full season. They work harder. They got to their first ever Final Four in program history in the NCAA era of women's college basketball. They're the number 1 overall seed in this tournament, the number 1 overall team in the country for the majority of the year, and the last team this season to suffer a loss. UConn's the only team in the country that beat UCLA besides USC, and the Bruins still ended up beating USC in the Big Ten Tournament Championship. Now, you can always wonder what happens if a certain player doesn't get hurt. That's a lot of speculation. Who knows? But the Bruins set a new standard, raised the level, raised the floor, and are still looking to reach their ceiling, which is a national championship. Wasn't this year. Paige Bueckers may get the fairy tale ending she is so waiting for with her leaving her college career at the championship to push UConn to 12 national championships all time. UCLA's got to go back. Look at the tape, look at where they went wrong, and know they have extremely talented players who are on their way or already in the program preparing to play for next season. This team is not going anywhere, and they might be on the short list to win it next year, maybe number 1 or number 2 in the preseason. And if UCLA, if you're looking at next year's preseason rankings from whatever source you're looking at for the UCLA women, and if they're somehow outside the top 5, outside the top 4, top 3, they then do their research. It all comes down to the health of Leger-Walker, the improvement of some of these players, and how dominant Sienna Betts can play alongside with Lauren Betts. Okay? A double dynamic duo mixed in the post. And if Leger-Walker's healthy, watch out. That is a new dynamic for UCLA next season. However, tonight is a night to be forgotten about. Reaching the Final Four was a success for UCLA. It is. If they had lost any earlier, would have not been a success. But as horrible as this tastes, as horrible as it feels, it's still a successful season. Absolutely successful season for UCLA. Raises the bar. but it leaves a scar. Raises a bar, leaves a scar. We'll see when they're back for more. Okay. But for now, UConn absolutely worked the Bruins. The NCAA tournament is here and it's just about to end, but FanDuel's still giving you that chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 extra bucks to use on everything from the buzzer beaters to those finale stories, from everything and who's cutting down the nets. And if you're looking to stay on the action, hey, FanDuel, it's an app that's super simple to use. And when you win, you can get paid instantly. No waiting around. Visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. In the end, the Bruins were flat out embarrassed in the Final Four. This was supposed to be the better of the two games. It ended up not being the case. UCLA will be a clear-cut Big Ten favorite with the length of Juju's timeline for her recovery. With her ACL tear, UCLA has talent, all of them returning, and in desire to get to the championship game next year to win it. UConn's losing Bueckers, but they still obviously have some super talented players. The transfer portal's a huge impact in this offseason for what USC could do, for what UConn could do. South Carolina will have something to say. UCLA should be a preseason number 1, number 2, at least number 3 team in the country. Minimum. If they're lower than that, I would be shocked. It stinks tonight. But the Bruins made some program history. Cori Close became the program's all-time winningest head coach, and they set a new standard. Now time to go break down those doors next season. It'll sting, but it'll be better when next season they can raise it with a banner and a ring and have some new bling. It's going to do it for us here on Locked On UCLA. Hands up, Bruins fans. 8 clap time. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.